Coming up Saturday night, UFC Middleweight champion Israel Adesanya faces #1 contender and former champion Robert Whittaker in the main event at UFC 271. Let's break it down. Robert Whittaker is 31 years old. He's 5'11" with a 73-inch reach and a record of 23-5 with 9 knockouts and 5 submissions. Born in New Zealand and raised in Australia, Whittaker began training in karate at age 7, attaining his black belt at 15, and then switched to MMA, beginning his professional career in 2008 with a first-round knockout. He got off to a solid start, going 11-2 with all of his wins coming by stoppage, but he then lost a decision to Court McGee and was then knocked out in his next fight by Wonderboy Thompson. He then went on a 7-fight winning streak, including a decision over Uriah Hall and knockouts of Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson, and Jacare Sousa. This put him in line to fight Romero for the interim middleweight title, with Whittaker defeating Romero via unanimous decision. After sitting out the rest of the year due to a knee injury and a staph infection, he returned to defend his title against Romero, winning the entire Fight of the Night bonus of $100,000 as Romero failed to make weight. He was scheduled to defend his belt against Kelvin Gastelum, but had to pull out hours before their fight due to a hernia. He returned in October of 2019, taking on #1 contender Israel Adesanya, and despite putting up a solid performance in round 1, he was ultimately dethroned, getting nailed by a counter left hook in the middle of throwing a flurry. He bounced back in 2020, winning a pair of dominant decisions over top contenders Darren Till and Jared Cannonier to put himself back in the #1 spot, and on April 17, 2021, put on an impressive one-sided beatdown of Kelvin Gastelum to put himself into title contention. The current #14 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC, Whittaker has some of the cleanest boxing skills in MMA, using a wide variety of feints to set up his power shots, and he also possesses underrated wrestling abilities in an excellent career that's been hampered by constant injuries. Israel Adesanya is 32 years old. He's 6'4" with an 80-inch reach and a record of 21-1 with 15 knockouts. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, he moved to New Zealand at the age of 10, and at 18 took up kickboxing, where he amassed an amateur record of 32-0. Soon he began training at Kick City Boxing alongside Dan Hooker and Alexander Volkanovski, and started competing in both professional boxing and kickboxing, compiling records of 5-1 and 75-5 respectively. He turned pro in MMA in 2012 with a first-round knockout, and after winning his first 11 fights by stoppage, he retired from kickboxing after being brutally knocked out by Alex Pereira. He made his UFC debut in 2017, knocking out Rob Wilkinson with a barrage of knees and punches, and 3 months later engaged in a close brawl with Marvin Vettori, coming away with a split decision. Later that year, he knocked out Derek Brunson with a left hook and followed that up with a dominant win over UFC legend Anderson Silva. On April 13, 2019, he fought Kelvin Gastelum, winning the interim middleweight title after a savage back-and-forth slugfest, and 7 months later unified the title, knocking out Robert Whittaker with a brutal left counter hook in round 2. After a convincing decision over Romero, he blew out #1 contender Paulo Costa, controlling the distance with his jab and leg kicks and stopping him with a vicious ground and pound. On March 6, 2021, he stepped up to light heavyweight, but despite being the heavy favorite, he was completely dominated by champion Jan Blachowicz, getting outstruck and taken down multiple times en route to a unanimous decision loss. He bounced back 3 months later with a convincing one-sided unanimous decision over longtime rival Marvin Vettori. An exceptionally agile counter-striker, the last stylebender has an excellent stand-up game, setting up his opponents with feints and overwhelming them with a versatile array of strikes from all angles. Will the wrestling skills and power shots of Whittaker be able to show that their last encounter was a fluke? Or will the versatility and technical brilliance of Adesanya carry the day as he continues to demonstrate that he's among the very best in the sport? Tune in Saturday night to UFC 271, and let's find out.